again. It's the great rivalry of the USL Championship rearing its head for the Eastern Conference Final. Rowdies, Louisville, Part 3. Tonight's broadcast is presented by Toyota and the Kentuckiana Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Where are these two sides going after this weekend? They may be staying home. The Rowdies or Louisville would host Colorado Springs. They would have to go to the Alamo City if Chalk wins out in the West. We'll find that out tomorrow night. The championship final November 13th. Devin and I'll call it. Dev, these two sides last week, the coaches called it. Not their best effort, but they're through.
Yeah, and yet we're still having the same conversation, right? The quality of the content and character for Lou City and the Rowdies reign supreme once again. Both managers frustrated, but saying that there are always things that you'd like to change from your past, but they are not going to take for granted getting to this stage of the competition.
Well, Dev, here these two giants colliding again, eh? It's maybe the great rivalry in the history of this league right now.
Louisville leading the series 5-4-2, 14 goals for, 14 goals against. That's even on goal differential. Each team has only gone away and won one time out of the 11 matches overall. But of course, the Tampa Bay Rowdies victorious in the last two Eastern Conference Finals. I want to focus in on something, though, the individual awards here. 15 separate individual accolades have been given out. Golden Gloves, goalkeeper, defender, coach, and MVP. As it currently stands, 7 are shared by these two teams with an opportunity at the end of the year to hit 10. That could be 66% at the completion of the 2022 season. Yeah, systematic success, I'd say so.
All right, the individuals are excellent, but these are two franchises known for the team game. Rowdies, Louisville, Part 3, the Eastern Conference Final, coming up after these messages and a word from your local station.
With over 50 million sold worldwide, what does Toyota Corolla do for an encore? It evolves to become more powerful, more connected, and safer. It becomes more efficient with an available 52 mpg hybrid. And now it becomes more versatile and capable of taking your adventures even further. The new Corolla Cross with available all-wheel drive, the first ever Corolla SUV. Toyota. Let's go places.
When the Thompsons first bought their house, all they saw was their dream home. They didn't yet know that with a home equity line of credit from Commonwealth Credit Union, it would be their keys to epic cannonballs and the chance to see the world. As years went by, it allowed them to empower the next generation and make happily ever after come true. Which begs the question, what could your home be doing for you? Let's find out together. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
Holy mackerel!
Play the Kentucky Lottery online, anywhere, anytime.
Tonight, WDRB News is the visiting team on WBKI.
With top stories and weather updates right off the bat at 10 and 11.
Or stay right here and watch the World Series on Fox.
WDRB News will return to WDRB after the World Series.
We're heading into all-wheel drive season, and nobody has more to choose from than Toyota.
That's why we're back in the aggressively styled Toyota Highlander.
The Highlander can handle whatever comes your way.
It's got room for 8, connectivity for all your devices. No wonder it's the best-selling SUV in its class.
Highlander all-wheel drive can even come with an electrified hybrid powertrain.
Now, during Toyota's fall savings season, you can save thousands in fuel costs on an electrified Highlander hybrid.
Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Toyota. Let's go places.
Tonight's starting lineups are presented by Craft House Pizza for Louisville. Forget just a personnel change, a shape change.
It's not just a shape change. It's because of the fact that they don't have any personnel, Mike. 18 players available for selection for Danny Cruz. But good news is you do get Corbin Bone back into the midfield. This is the preferred 3. The front line, still no Brian Ownby, though he does make his way back into the 18. And I look at the width with Amadou Dia and Manny Perez. Perez was great last time out as he stretched the game. Need a compliment from Dia, but I want to give a shout out to Danny Fondes, who is tonight's Commonwealth Credit Union player to watch because of how great he's been. 7 appearances, once off the bench, only 6 goals against, 2 shutouts to his name. Couldn't do anything against Pittsburgh, but he was magnificent the rest of the way. The Tampa Bay Rowdies, Neil Collins. Any changes here? 1. And it's a surprise, Jake Arman. Not because he's incapable, but because wasn't sure he had the distance to go underneath his belt coming back from injury. I see a 4 here because of the influx of players and how comfortable LaCava and Arman and Fernandez all in front of Law and Hilton are to clog the middle of the field against Lou City. Guenzatti, magnificent over the stretch at the end of the season. 5 goals in his last 5 games.
Louisville is going for gold. The lights are back up here at Lynn Family Stadium. The Eastern Conference Final is underway. It is a rematch of a rematch. It's the Rowdies and Louisville City from Lynn Family Stadium in Kentucky. Winner would either host Colorado Springs or go to San Antonio for the USL Championship Final next Sunday night, November 13th. Del Piccolo. That's that down again. Dia floats it forward. Harris, who scored the winner at home between these teams earlier this year. And in steps Lawrence White, driven away by Connor Antley. Forward from Fernandez. Offside flag is up. Let's take a look at tonight's weather. It is presented by Advanced ENT and Allergy, and it's a little bit windy. Other than that, this is exactly what you dream about the first weekend of November. I think even the Rowdies players are like, this is pretty nice.
I mean, you could see some stuff blowing around on the field. You know, the organization saying that there is a wind advisory within the stadium. It's a first here.
Well, it's got that open-ended side, so when the wind does blow into it, got a little bit of a swirling effect that can come with it. Good take by White. And Mushagalusa got all of them. Well, Dev, you mentioned at the outset there is no full Brian Ombie, playoff Ombie, but he is in the 18. Cameron Lancaster falls out of the 18. He felt a bit of a pop in the Eastern Conference semifinal against Pittsburgh. Didn't feel they could give him enough time. Can't have 2 compromised players on the bench. You have to start making decisions. Still no Kyle Morton. And you're without a handful of players that you've been without for quite some time, but those are the 2 that really stand out.
Well, in recent memory, I mean, Niall McCabe, the role that he played the entire season, right? Jorge Gonzalez. You know, for Danny Cruz and what this organization has been able to do in terms of depth, it's quite interesting, maybe even poetic, that the Eastern Conference Final against the nemesis that is the Tampa Bay Rowdies, in theory, comes down to really a ragtag bench of brothers, right? And I say that with the utmost respect because there's still a tremendous amount of talent for him.
Ball driven across. Sigurd Fernandez. You do have the winders and Carlos Mogul, who walked it off in penalties against Pittsburgh last week. That's a wayward foot. And if you're Lawrence White, you can't quite believe it.
Ball coming back, just it needed to be cleaner for sure, and it's the follow through, interestingly enough, that he does get the ball first. There's the touch. His problem is that right leg right there, studs up on the continuation right in front of the referee as well.
Tosh taken away by LaCava. And Tosh wins it back. Defensive Player of the Year finalist this year, due in part to his 9 goals. And touched out by Arman. back to Phil Brino. Down to Antley. Commonwealth Credit Union has been bettering the lives in the communities they serve since 1951. To learn more, visit WeSeeYouDifferently.com. Dia. That's well done. Out to Mushagalusa. Turns Wyke like a top. That full sprint, Wyke is caught up. Mushagalusa cuts inside and now headline. Cuts it across, header away. What a dynamic run from Matiti.
Little tweak that you get on this side, whether they're dropping into a 4-3. When it's 3, Antley comes high, Fernandez pinches in. Then there's more space in behind, and you isolate in a one-on-one situation. This is what Danny Cruz is looking for when he goes with Mushagalusa in transition. You catch him flat-footed, an opportunity to push down into the byline. You're waiting for a better trailing run. Great transition from Louisville, though.
The corner back post. Whipped it frame, nothing there, deflected away. Manny Perez, who scored his first Lou City goal last week in the comeback against Pittsburgh, trying to get after it early. A lot of movement that the Rowdies have sniffed out pretty effectively. Sharpie. Dia. Looking for Del Piccolo in behind, and that's Wyke with a touch. It'll be a Wi-Fi corner. Good to hear the voice of Lance McGarvey back. Missed the last game for Louisville City. Had a lesion discovered on his skull and was unable to take part in the festivities to avoid potential infection. A longtime public address voice of Louisville City. Ball whipped across here on the corner. First ball away, held up by Dia. Perez. Dia. Serrano. Serrano poking through. Comes back out toward Hilton. Lewis Hilton. Let's take a look at our keys to the game tonight. They are presented by the Bobby Pinkston team at RE/MAX Premier Properties. Score the home of your dreams with the Pinkston team.
Lou City, quality of quota. They're plus 30 in terms of the plus minus on shots in their last 5 games. The problem is they've only got a +2 goal differential. Averaging a goal every 10 shots. Do the math. It just doesn't add up. They've got to create better quality in front of net, especially because of the adaptability that the Tampa Bay Rowdies have. Adapt and then attack. I already talked about that little tweak on the right-hand flank. Regardless of what look they're giving you, 3, 4, 5 in the middle, 6, a 3-headed monster up top. That's the biggest difference between the Tampa Bay Rowdies of last season that got to the final and the one that's sitting here with an opportunity to take on the Western Conference Wonder once again. They can change so many different ways. You don't know what's going to be thrown at you in the starting lineup, nor as the game progresses, they have the ability to change their systems multiple times and still be successful.
Dev, what's the number you usually talk about goal conversion?
The conversion rate, the conversion percentage overall, absolutely.
Mushagalusa. Dangerously for Harris. Law let that bounce by him. Picked up by Gibson. Struck for frame. Not there for Serrano.
Since 2016, we've only had one champion, only one, that has been below 17. It was actually the Louisville City team of 2017. Every other team has had a conversion rate of at least 17%.
Brino off the line. So, look, in any individual playoff game, maybe you can get away with being a 1 in 10 proposition, 10%.
Yeah.
But over the law of averages,
you got to step it up.
Takes about,
bingo,
17.
And the Rowdies are atop of that entire conversation, 21% into postseason play. They've been really impressive, and it does go down to the fact that they can change so often. I mean, you look at this team now compared to what you saw at the beginning of the year. I've had so many conversations with Neil Collins about trying to find a number 10. Andrew Tenari.
For years.
Zach Steinberger, Jan Ekra. Of course, Ekra is still being here, right? Adam Najim was involved in the mix as well, and instead they recreate it. You bring Jake LaCava underneath, Leo Fernandez, that's when they play with the 2 10s. You can bump one in there and they're fine, and they're both comfortable on either sides of that. And then as you work backwards, it's the same thing. One outside back 2, they give you so many different looks on either side of the ball, Mike. It's difficult to track the runs because there's no tendencies anymore. There's good movement, there's bad movement. We saw plenty of that in the Eastern Conference semifinals for both of these teams. And Neil Collins knows that his team is capable of taking this title down, but it's one foot in front of the other right now. Most importantly, withstanding this push that he knew Lou City was going to have in the opening 10 to 15 minutes.
Wi-Fi corner, a couple from the other side. Now it's Del Piccolo. Del Piccolo lofting. Mushagalusa was hoping to touch that. In the end, nobody did. Now, Dev, we look at a goalkeeper here for Tampa Bay who featured a little bit with Charleston, and Neil Collins saw him knock off his team in the regular season finale a couple of years ago, went on to forward Madison, and has picked up a lot of experience. You lose C.J. Cochran to injury. The Rowdies go from strength to strength with goalkeeper because their former goalkeeper just won MLS Cup less than an hour ago and played what? 30 minutes of that game and was named the MVP?
Bingo. Yeah. John McCarthy, congratulations to him in that wondrous headgear that still floats around the professional game. But, to give you an idea of the confidence that they have for Phil Brino in goal, they had an opportunity to go get someone on an emergency loan. Didn't do it. Wasn't necessary. They had that much positive thoughts to say about him because he's been so good. And you're looking at a guy that really, back and forth through the battery. Kuzminski was the guy he battled with. There wasn't that much going on there for him. It was all Kuzminski, and he just kind of laid in waiting, sitting back, go on loan, try and get some minutes, and then all of a sudden, you're starting for one of the perennial powerhouses in the Eastern Conference, final.
It was basically a loan swap with forward Madison. Raiko Arozarena went the other way. They need to get him games. Serrano angling inward. Back to Tosh. Rosarena is the choice off the bench. Louisville without Kyle Morton tonight as well. So both starting goalkeepers are out of this game. Brino on one side, Danny Fondes on the other, both of whom have taken the road less traveled into their mid to late 20s before finally getting a chance to play in a game of this magnitude at the pro level. Tosh. Dia. Do you think any of that headgear is still in St. Pete?
Well, there's some sort of random case somewhere that he dropped one off at a local watering hole, maybe.
You'd think. Mushagalusa, that's denied.
It'd be rude not to.
To be fair, if I'm at that watering hole, I probably do need the helmet.
There you go.
Dia. Woo. Well, it's been a tricky start here. Mushagalusa and Dia with some techers. Although these Rowdies, they don't play checkers, they play chess. Laying in wait, perhaps to an extent, as they did against Memphis last week. Sharpie. Good touch. Serrano. Appeal for a handball, play on, no, bring it back.
Pretty clean on the ball so far. Doing a good job going side to side. Got a little lucky on the first touch that bounced away. Able to recover, and 100% does come off the hand. I said to you that depending on the matchup, I like the look for Ray Serrano on that right-hand side. If they go with 4, if they go with 3, I like this little pocket of space, and that all comes down to what the responsibilities defensively are for Lewis Hilton and Nicky Law. Now, we've seen them a lot side by side. We've also seen Nicky Law take advantage of Lewis Hilton's ability to close down so much space on the interior. That's a good look at it right now. So as he comes, that's a lot of ground for Serrano to step into on that high press if they can get the turnover. If Nicky Law moves out of the middle, starts to advance himself, or comes over to that far sideline just there, Lou City is notorious for trying to step in, pick the ball off. That's when Serrano has the opportunity to be at his best.
You thought there was something in this tonight for Ray Serrano, that the matchup and just the fit of the systems made sense.
Yeah, just that whole relationship that he could have, not saying that he's going to, but for a guy that coming in here, you knew that he was going to be comfortable dropping down into those spots. The question was going to be, A, how consistent could you be at this level to fight for a spot? And B, could you help stretch the game? Both arguments on the backside most assuredly have been checked yes. So he can revert back to the comfortability about coming to the interior position. But as you do that, Mike, who's going to make that overlapping run around you? Are you pushing into a space where it's already occupied? That's where the relationship has really taken off from the front three of Mushagalusa, Harris, and Serrano. Those three, the acquisitions in the offseason, and what they've been able to do for Lou City. No Cameron Lancaster pretty much for the entirety of the year. Brian Ownby has been in and out. He's trying to fight his way back in, and yet you've got those three young men who have come over, and look at the numbers that they've been able to put up. 28 goals overall, 9 assists. I would say whoever's in charge of the scouting department, give them a raise, because they're doing just fine.
Well, in the case of Harris and Mushagalusa, it wasn't much scouting so much as they'd eaten Louisville alive in some of those SKC2 games back in the day. Del Piccolo on the leave-off from Harris, ahead to Mushagalusa. Mushagalusa! Well, this is what we used to see in the old SKC2 days.
This is one of the issues that the Rowdies faced against Memphis. Again, you can play 3 or 4, it doesn't matter, but the rotation has to be quicker. And as Connor Antley came high, he just got caught out. There's not a quick enough step for Lawrence White. He doesn't expect Antley to advance that far, but as he does, a great job once again. Mushagalusa just finds that 5 to 7 yard space, slips in between. You put that ball in front of him, you're in trouble.
This portion of tonight's game brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And where are we going next Sunday night? Devin and I, along with Sarah Gordon, the Angel City defender, will be on the call for the USL Championship final next week. It's Devin's 5th if you include him broadcasting a game from his hotel room in 2020.
It happened. Just go look at the receipts.
The receipts are there. That's true.
It's really unfortunate that it's one of the most memorable finals in my head. And obviously the game never happened. I don't mean to laugh. It was obviously for a terrible situation. We still got the opportunity to play this season, but considering we never stepped onto the pitch for an entirety of 90 minutes, even 1 minute.
Well, we tried to step on the pitch and were whisked away.
I was humbly reminded by then Rowdies president Lee Cohen, Devin, we don't care if you work out, we don't care if you use the training field, just stay off the ground.
Stay off the ground.
No problem, I'll run on the outside, that's fine.
I was doing more of a brisk walk. Mushagalusa. Louisville trying to find their spacing. Wilson Harris. Well, so far, White, Castellanos, and Guillen have been up to the task. Which, to be fair, is par for the course. Law pressing at the back of Corbin Bone. Tosh. One of these teams will either go to San Antonio or host Colorado Springs. That game is tomorrow night. Mushagalusa. Mushagalusa got a shot away. Brino. We have a moment, Dev. I'm intrigued to know if you know your Floridians. It's brought to you by Tony's Break and Alignment. Lou City Trivia. Which Louisville player grew up less than 40 miles away from Al Lang Stadium in St. Pete? Can you eliminate any of them?
I want to say Wes Sharpie. If I remember, he's from Tarpon Springs, if I'm not wrong. I believe it's Wes Sharpie. That's my final answer.
You didn't want to wait for the...
I mean, I'm guessing. I know the other two. I'm saying I know the other two options. No, but in my mind, I know he went to USF. I remember that vividly. And I'm pretty sure he came from... There it is.
He did.
Look at that. I mean, you've done some numbers on me, but that's not your best work.
It was for the folks, Dev.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the main reason I know that is he played for the Clearwater Chargers, and let's just say that my club and his club didn't get along very well.
Same time, or
no?
Yeah.
Right about the time that I was competing for my first travel team in Omaha, Nebraska.
Sharpie was born.
He was being born. Yeah. So I've got about a decade on the young man.
This is Wyke. First Rowdies corner. Who are the options here, Dev, for the Rowdies?
Well, you'd love to see Steven Dos Santos. Of course, it never helps that he's not there because he's not on the pitch. You do have that left peg, though. Jake Arman and what he's capable of. Find guys that can give you that ability. Lawrence Wyke is really good in the air. I like him as an option. Castellanos, of course, as he comes back into the mix. Aaron Guillen can throw his name in, too.
Arman, Fondes, he had to get there, and he did. Wyke is collected, tries to spin off it. Play on from the referee, ahead to Mushagalusa. He can make people look silly. He's going at Guillen, who's dropping in. I've yet to see anyone truly make Aaron Guillen look silly at this level, for what it's worth. Ball through from Del Piccolo, got siphoned off. Offside. Dev, try to put into context. To reach Louisville's case, yes, it's 8 straight conference finals, but for these two teams to reach the Eastern Conference final against one another year after year, as good a season as Memphis had, Pittsburgh, Birmingham, this year it was that trio right around the line with Detroit, Miami playing well, and late in the season, Hartford, Tulsa started to pick it up a little bit. It's remarkable it continues to just be these two, especially when the West seems to rotate every year.
There's a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences within the two organizations. So let's start about what's different, right? For Lou City, record-setting year for them in terms of points, goal differential, shutouts, wins, and yet still able to create the success. But it's not the same players that we're used to seeing. It's not Cameron Lancaster. We haven't seen as much of the quote-unquote old guard, if you will. That's slowly been transitioned in the other direction, and yet if it's youngsters or guys that have been brought in their first year for Lou City, they found success. So the changing of the guard has produced still the quality that Danny Cruz and Lou City are looking for. You look at the Tampa Bay Rowdies, I look at the change in their system and what Neil Collins has been able to do. He addressed that right off the bat, right? When I brought it up to him about the tactical breakdown and stuff, he said this was really simple for us. When we were going throughout the season, there was a game we played away at Pittsburgh on June 25th. Now, at that point in time, they were 6 games unbeaten. But visiting Pittsburgh under Neil Collins, they were only 0-1-3. Not a single win through 4. 3 draws, he admitted, weren't that bad. But he wanted to find a way to be dangerous on a narrow field. That's the reason of the change of system. That's the reason you have the success in the final 10 games of the season of the Tampa Bay Rowdies being the best in the entire USL Championship. Now you take the similarities. It's the culture, it's the belief that no matter who's on the field, what person's injured, who's dealing with COVID, what sort of form that you're in, that you're going to find a way to get success. And that's why you see these teams, even when they're not at their best, Mike, like last week, still find a way to come out on top. They mimic each other, they represent greatness in the USL Championship, and not only do other teams strive to become what they are? They're still looking at each other, picking ideas and opportunities, making it their own because of the greatness that they've created and will continue to do so in the future.
Harris beyond Mushagalusa. For what it's worth, I asked each manager, is this the preeminent rivalry in the league? Full well knowing the answer from my perspective. Neil Collins said, of course it is. How could it not be? That was what we were chasing for a while, and now it's this memorable games, big moments, we keep seeing each other. Danny Cruz went about it a different way. He disagreed with the concept of rival because, while they play those great games, he's the first to acknowledge that they've been so tightly compacted at the top of the East. He goes, I don't despise them. I don't even dislike them. I have so much respect for them that he doesn't necessarily call it a rivalry as you might read it in the Oxford Dictionary.
Game recognized game, if you will. Absolutely.
Is that in the Oxford Dictionary?
That's what the kids are throwing around these days. Just trying to keep up with them.
Are those the days when Wes Sharpie was playing for the Clearwater Chargers?
Yeah, bingo. There you go. They're just trying to find a way to reset their lines a little bit here, the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Defensively, it's a lot of this, the one-way traffic chasing. And the good news is you've been able to isolate that man a little bit more, push him to his alternate side on the right flank. You got to get on the ball, though. You don't have to have a ton of it, but when you're on it, you need to keep it. And a lot of the balls that they've moved forward right now, such as that chance right there into Guenzati's feet, foul or not, they just haven't been as clean as Neil Collins would like. They don't mind conceding possession. But as you start to play off, that's a dangerous ball, able to squeak it just beyond the shoulder of Tyler Gibson. And even with the foul, what's the option? He picks up. You don't really have a trailing run and support. Got to find a way to create options around you, not just in front of goal. They got to find a way to build off of each other.
Lost by Wyke. Harris holds it and sends it through. Bone. Breno. Hilton, a little more forward-thinking pressure from Louisville. Armin, grabbed by Tosh, brought down by Serrano. Stabbed inside, Del Piccolo. Strong step and then some. Wyke, who really became a fill-in center back with Castellanos' injury and Forrest Lasso going to Sweden right at the outset of training camp. There's Castellanos. Sends it away. Don't miss your opportunity to cheer on the boys in purple at Lynn Family Stadium next season. Louisville City FC 2023 season tickets are on sale now. LouCityFC.com/tickets. Rolled in Del Piccolo. Trying to spin Castellanos, easier said than done. Hilton drives it away. Bone. The whistle stops it before it begins.
Forrest Lasso departs early 2022 before the start of the season. You have to scramble to go get a center back, and did they get a great one? Watch this defending. On his toes, the ability to change either which way. When Del Piccolo cuts this back, yes, he gets help from Lewis Hilton and from Nicky Law. Aaron Guillen over the left shoulder, but one-on-one defending executed to perfection by Castellanos on the back line.
Castellanos got injured in the opener this year, did not play from the middle of March until the middle of August after being signed by Nashville the year prior and sent on loan to the Rowdies. One thing I am confident Gary Smith knows is finding good defenders.
Yeah, I'll give him that one.
Although it turns out you add Hani Mukhtar to any team, and
it doesn't really matter, right?
It's one of only 3 teams ever to beat Louisville at home in a knockout game. The Rowdies are one of them too. Real Monarchs, the 2019 final. 22, 3 and 5. Ball across Guenzati. The Rowdies' percolation back to the top of the Eastern Conference came with Guenzati's reemergence this year.
Much better, though, and as he actually dropped back over the right shoulder for Connor Antley, but when you create the width here, Neil Collins talked extensively about the left foot of Jake Arman, his intensity and his vision. Notice head up the entire way. It's a great recovery run by Guenzati, who had just been involved on the near touchline. The late runs, the back post runs, little checks to the top of the box. That's the stuff we're talking about for the Rowdies, getting comfortable on the ball. Again, you're away, you're not always going to be the aggressor in that match, and that's okay. But you have to find a way to punch back a little bit. That's the best look we've seen from them for quite some time.
Are you in any way half an hour in dissatisfied if you're Neil Collins?
Yes,
with
absolutely, 100%, because it reminds me a lot of what you saw against Memphis 901.
Correct.
Defensively, again, he'll concede having the ball, but the movements defensively got to be quicker. Don't give Amadou Dia 10 yards when you can give him 5. Right, when the ball starts to come square back across, okay, we know that as Fernando steps in, LaCava's going to come high, and then the far side, you got to step up there if you're Jake Arman. The problem is 30 minutes in, those movements are coming too slow. So that's enabling some of these balls, regardless of where they end up in front of net, to squeak through. Now the quality lacking a little bit for Lou City in front of goal in terms of the overall creation of chances, but defensively, you're still expecting a higher level here from Neil Collins and the Rowdies.
And notably, Devin, last week against Memphis, when it wasn't going the way that they had drawn it up on the whiteboard,
he switched.
Brought LaCava out at halftime, not because of injury, but because of tactics.
They also tweaked their system right around the 30-minute mark, so just keep an eye. They have gone from 4, they've gone into a 3, moved Antley a little bit higher, and what you'll see out of that, Leo Fernandez, there's a good look. He's come a bit more to the interior to try and get involved in the run of play. That's only come over the last 5-6 minutes.
Arman on the run. LaCava. Perez. Arman picked it up again. Hilton out of the air. Fondes. Perhaps Hilton could have gotten that just a little bit better. But Fondes is a Marriott man anyways.
You're just trying to find balance within the attack and then unbalance your opponent. Even off the recovery, watch the ball coming back across. Jake Arman recognizes that the middle's too clogged. Fernandez is on the back post, 2v1. Guenzati not close enough. Your only option is Lewis Hilton. Almost highlight reel worthy.
Brino. Dev, I'm about to offer up a remarkable prize, but you're not going to be eligible to win it. Back to Guillen. Throw for Tampa Bay. Win the ultimate World Cup viewing experience with the Hisense Playoff Sweepstakes. Grand prize, a Hisense 120-inch laser TV and a $500 gift card. The Hisense Playoff Sweepstakes is now live and will run till November 13th at midnight Eastern Time. Scan the QR code for your chance to win. Put your phone down, Devin.
The guy can dream, can he?
You can. Everyone else can. Mushagalusa. Got by White. Antley in his wake. Mushagalusa curling. Well, he certainly likes his matchup tonight.
You wonder why he doesn't hit this right away, too, because he does everything right. Same matchup on this near touchline. This space is a problem right now between Lawrence White and Connor Antley. That recovery run, you should already be coming to help because there's so much space in behind that if Lawrence White gets beat, he's all alone. Your run needs to be in behind because you've got the midfield coming to track as well. And then as the cut comes back to the middle, hit this thing. That's where you want Mushagalusa. A natural movement in sequence. Cut back in, take a step, and then let it rip.
Guenzati pushed out of the way. That's a foul.
Trying to figure out what the overall argument is here. I mean, it's from behind. It's a foul, 100%. You lean into it, position established, and he's going to argue that he steps in front. The problem is your leg is in front of the player. Your body positioning is still coming from a restricted area. You catch the shoulder, you take him down. It's the correct decision from the referee.
Mark Ollerton is the referee for this game. Kevin Broadley will officiate tomorrow's game between San Antonio and the Switchbacks. Devin, you'll have Elvis Osmanovic as your referee for the League One final. Always a great honor for a referee to oversee a final at any level. Elvis has just entered the building. Hilton. Wyke. Ahead to Antley. Antley crossing. It's in, but it's off. Well, there was a very tight offside call last week that benefited Louisville City. Just how close was it this time around?
This is really tight. You know, he's walking this tight rope on the near touch line. I mean, that's hard, but you look up. If I'm having to guess, I'm saying his off, but that is a guess. Given that angle, there's a lot of bodies sitting right atop that 18-yard box that could make conversation for keeping him on.
And there's a number of players. You get the benefit of the line in theory. You see about half the Louisville defenders about one step beyond that top of the 18. Mushagalusa. Oh, Wyke had enough of Mushagalusa's antics. Dia launches. Guillen. Del Piccolo. Serrano. Brino and the Rowdies are a little bit discombobulated.
Set pieces haven't been the greatest in terms of tracking so far. The 50-50 balls having a little trouble too. Guillen almost head down, which is quite surprising for the first team all-league defender. One gets away, the second one comes to the back. Still very difficult ball for Ray Serrano to try and bring down because of the spin on it. He's not exactly pushing any boundaries when it comes to the vertical threat.
Celebrating its 75th anniversary, Select, proud to be the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. Choose what you play with at SelectSportAmerica.com. Select, League's choice, player's choice. Harris. Wyke. I am confident Wyke does not want to be this involved. Sharpie. Perez. That was a risque dribble. Tosh right in front of LaCava. Serrano. Trying to get by Guillen.
Pretty interesting in the defensive matchup so far, especially for Jake LaCava and Leo Fernandez. They're not really pushing the outside backs very high whatsoever. This is one of the first times that not only do they come high, Manny Perez comes back in, but I just applauded Castellanos on the other end. Great job by Sean Tosh. Backing up flat-footed, it's one of the scariest things a center back is going to face, and then as he turns to his right, just slows down a little bit with that outstretched back foot, able to pick it up.
for Guinzotti. Run amok with the offside flag again. Guinzotti finding his goal-scoring form, 7 goals now on the year. They've come 5 in the month of October. 6-match win streak perhaps is not quite coincidental. Rowdies' tremendous road record this year. They've won half their games away in league competitions. 9-5-4. Louisville 14-2-2 on their home ground. Won 5 of their last 6. But 10 new players in this Louisville team year over year, and with the injuries that they've suffered, players like McCabe, big collision, play on, and Gonzalez, a lot of players new to the playoff equation. Maybe the nerves are out after last week. They fell behind Pittsburgh 2-0, and for the second time under Danny Cruz, and the second time in a month, overcame a halftime deficit to win a game. They did it against Detroit and Pittsburgh. Brino. Gibson, the help of Tosh. That wasn't it. Guillen, now Law. Hilton. Guillen. That deflects off of Dia. Guinzotti tried to spin, he overran it, but turned right back over. Fernandez! Leo Fernandez has scored 20 goals this year, a quarter of which have come outside the penalty area.
Little surprise Guinzotti doesn't try and get cute on the left foot here, even off the deflection from Amadou Dia. This touch now hit it. He wants it on his preferred right foot. As he comes back across, though, he gets bailed out. And this is my one issue that I'm having right now in the Rowdies attack. It's the lack of presence by that man right there. MVP candidate Leo Fernandez. He's been playing very deep this season, but that's not where Neil Collins has been accustomed to seeing him this year. 20 goals, 9 assists, one of 3 finalists for the MVP award, leading the team in both, and for good reason. Liked him to operate within one of those 10 spots. But if you watch, he's just peeled off on the right a little bit, and he's tucked in between Tyler Gibson, Corbin Bone. He's having trouble getting on the ball. Got to find a way to let him explore a little bit more fluidly once you reach into the final third.
Aaron Malloy and Haji Berry, the other 2 finalists. The Rowdies didn't really hide much. He was on Sirius XM this week, and they had some creative underlining in their tweet, trying to will the universe into giving him the MVP trophy.
I can spell too. I didn't do it in that manner, you know?
Correct.
That's what happens when you have people clever that are doing that job. I am not. Shout out to Jake Nutting and the entire crew at the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Always do such a fantastic job there, linking us up with coaches and players all season long. Always grateful for their efforts.
Well, they'll announce the major awards next week. And once again, Devin and I proudly did not have a ballot.
Somewhere over the rainbow. Handball.
Well, play on. Now the whistle. Someone reached out to me and said, I can get you a ballot, you know. And I go, no, at this point,
it's not the point
too late.
anymore. No,
it's not.
The damage has been done.
No, this is about principles.
No, the bruise runs much deeper than my ego. I promise you that. This is something that is going to be etched into the well-being of our broadcast for generations to come.
This is the Eastern Conference Final, Louisville and Tampa Bay, for a 3rd consecutive year. The Rowdies have won the last 2, one at home, one here in Louisville. Kenny Fondez drives that away. He's one of the new faces. There's plenty of new blood and plenty of old money between these two teams. Armin seeking Fernandez. Coming up at halftime, Dev and I are going to preview the Western Conference Final. Dev will take you ahead of the curve on San Antonio and Colorado Springs. So take a look at the League One Final that Josh Eastern, Devin Kerr, and Marion Crowder will have the call of tomorrow night on ESPN2. Just when you thought it was going to be the Kickers off the year they had. Stoppage time was presented by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. One added second. Halftime, nothing in the game yet.
No, you got to find more from the front line if you're the Tampa Bay Rowdies, because they've shored themselves up in the back thanks to that man right there, Castellanos. Lawrence White found his way into the game. Aaron Guillen locking it down as well. They had a problem on the right flank with Musha Galusa, but as they tweaked it a little bit, when you're going forward now, LaCava, Fernandez, Guenzati, you got to get them on the ball more. They started to move Fernandez to the left. I like that look. Variability, adapt, attack. We talked about it in the game. Danny Cruz is going to say, we've given ourselves opportunities. It has to be better in front of net because they have created, Mike. But same argument that we've heard the past couple of games, haven't been able to finish when they've gotten inside the box.
Well, the Rowdies have withstood what Louisville has provided thus far. And now these two managers head to the dressing room. What's going on inside that head? Could they possibly find the tactical solution? Or is it a moment of greatness? The Eastern Conference Final, presented by Hisense, continues after this.
This new Toyota Tundra is amazing. It's rugged and capable.
Designed, engineered, and built right here in the USA.
And Tundra is more powerful and more fuel efficient.
The iForce Max hybrid powertrain delivers 437 horsepower.
And with the multi-terrain select, no matter what the conditions are, it automatically adjusts the engine throttle and traction.
While the crawl control modulates the throttle and brakes.
When we say you can go anywhere and do anything,
Tundra really means it.
Yeah.
Toyota. Let's go places.
We've got exciting news.
Commonwealth Credit Union has been ranked best in-state credit union by Forbes magazine.
For the 4th time.
It's true.
In fact, we're #1 on the list this year.
So, if you've never tried Commonwealth Credit Union before,
come see what you've been missing. Because here,
here,
we see you differently.
It's Keno night, and you got this. And you've got 37 ways to win a top prize of $100,000. Keno from the Kentucky Lottery. You got this.
Tonight, WDRB News is the visiting team on WBKI.
With top stories and weather updates right off the bat at 10 and 11.
Or stay right here and watch the World Series on Fox.
WDRB News will return to WDRB after the World Series.
With the Kroger Plus card, it's easy to get lower than low prices for the win. You also earn fuel points on every purchase to save big at the pump. The Kroger Plus card. All you do is win big, big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. With the Kroger app, no matter where you order free pickup, you get the same great deals as you get in our stores. So start your cart today. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Welcome back to the Eastern Conference Final in the USL Championship playoffs, presented by Hisense. Your halftime score is brought to you by ServPro, the official cleanup and restoration partner of Louisville City FC. Mike Watts with Devin Kerr will be calling the final and look at the bracket in the USL Championship playoffs presented by Hisense. San Antonio would host the winner of Louisville and Tampa Bay. Colorado Springs would go on the road to face the winner should they advance. You'll find that game tomorrow on ESPN Plus, 8:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Central, and in the mountains, I guess it's 6:30. All right, Dev, these two sides, they have had very roller coaster-esque seasons at times this year, especially the Switchbacks. Let's go ahead of the curve on what makes these teams unique.
We're going to start with San Antonio FC. 98 total passes completed in a 3-0 victory over Oakland Roots. Least amount in a league win since 2017. But it's the way that they do it. They're efficient. They don't need the ball because their passing movements are no different than what you see out of Louisville City or the Tampa Bay Rowdies. It's just quicker in transition and usually higher up on the pitch. 4 players, 7 touches, 7 seconds. Kamiri, Patino, Maloney, Pirano. Miss on the back post, but as they stretch themselves thin, that opens up more space. That's where Michi Galina steps in here. Keep an eye on him. In the absence of Haji Berry, to be successful, you need a player that can consistently stretch this game in a multitude of areas. Normally, it's going to be from the wide. So, yes, he can stretch on the right. He'll dish it back across. But you can also go 1v1. And that's the component that you want to watch here. When you get in behind, it's the diagonal. So he's not always towards the corner flag. Hit him on that cross route. Let him go 1v1 with the center back and the goalkeeper and grab you what you want. As this game opens up, it benefits both squads.
All right, we've got a wide open one tomorrow night on ESPN Plus. Got another 45 minutes to come here in Louisville. The Eastern Conference Final continues from Lynn Family Stadium after these messages.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Tonight, you're going to be the one to show the world that you exist. So you step out into the light to respond with glory and to lift that trophy. We'll be singing together when we're winning together.
We're heading into all-wheel drive season.
And this RAV4 is one of 15 different all-wheel drive vehicles from Toyota.
RAV4 can handle the rain, the snow, the off-road, whatever comes your way.
Which explains why it's the best-selling SUV in America.
You got all kinds of room back here.
And RAV4 all-wheel drive can even come with an electrified hybrid powertrain.
Now, during Toyota's fall savings season, you can save thousands in fuel costs on an electrified RAV4 hybrid.
Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Toyota. Let's go places.
Thomas! He's got 2! A shooting star for Orange County! And that's full time. The old guard with a new trophy. Orange County wins the USL Championship final. Welcome back back to the USL Championship playoffs presented by Hisense. Halftime is presented by Serve Pro. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr is Lou City and Tampa Bay locking horns. Let's get you updated on playoff coverage around the USL Championship and beyond. Tormenta and Red Wolves, our good friend Josh Eastern will be at the mic. Marion Crowder will be on the sideline. Devin, you're going to be calling that game tomorrow night on ESPN2. What can we look forward to?
Tons of talent, first and foremost. I like the kid Josh Phelps on the back line for Tormenta. Does a great job controlling it. As you move forward, though, you want to keep an eye on a guy named Keziah Sterling. 16 goals in 25 games. 65% of the time, he's right every time. Do the math. But as you look at the Chattanooga Red Wolves, they're interesting because the change to Jimmy Weekly, they've got a USL Championship players, former Timmy Mel, Aaron Lombardi, Carlos Aviles from the FC Dallas organization. I like Ray Ortiz. He spent some time with Seattle. So nice little back and forth, different. One sits in, one likes to open it up and be on the ball. But we are looking at that USL Championship final next Sunday. What's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Who's going to take down this game? Then we can all sit back in theory tomorrow night, put our feet up at least after the League One final. San Antonio, Colorado Springs, nightcap.
Then we're going to find out where it's going to be. Where it is right now, the Eastern Conference Final in Louisville. Rowdies and City at halftime. The second half is coming up next.
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
It was awesome to see what it can really do.
That was the most intense experience I've ever had.
At a recent off-road event, real Toyota Tundra owners found out just how capable the new Tundra is.
I had no idea these could do what it did.
With 437 horsepower and available multi-terrain select and crawl control, Tundra can go anywhere and do anything. This truck was born for this.
I am probably a Tundra owner for life at this point. I'm very impressed.
The more you know, the more you'll drive Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome to U of L Health Heart Hospital, an exciting chapter in the Jewish hospital story. If these walls could talk, you would hear stories of over 40 medical firsts. As the area's only heart hospital, we focus on comprehensive heart care, where academic research pioneers innovative treatments, and a world-class network of experts offers life-changing care. Here, your heart is in the right place.
When fire and water threaten your home, hand the cleanup over to the team that stays with you every step of the way in your journey back. 1-800-SERVPRO and ServPro.com. Like it never even happened.
Welcome back to the Eastern Conference Final. Devin and I were considering that hairstyle coming into this game. Rowdies fans coming up in earnest. But we ended up with that hairstyle. I just don't have what I used to have in the back. That's all I'm saying. It's scoreless at halftime. Here come the highlights from the first half, of which there are several. We start in the 16th minute, and it's Brino sending this away. The wind may be playing a little bit of a role in this, but Louisville quickly back up.
That's being kind. For me, this was about the 50-50 balls in the space in behind Connor Antley, just in front of Lawrence Wyke. A lack of committal on one end, a lack of support on the other. Musha Galusa, you'd also like him to do a little bit better here. Now, he's trying to tuck this back into the right side, get it on the right foot, but he's unable to do it. Second one within 20 minutes. Cut back, hit it. That decision should have happened faster. Instead, you come to the left, you move away from goal, you isolate yourself to a shorter angle against the goalkeeper that's playing at a high level right now, and Brino. Now, the response from the visitors and the Tampa Bay Rowdies. This is really the first time that we saw them expansive in their run of play. Look at them use the full width of the field. You've got multiple options on the back post. Antley feels like Guanzati's got an opportunity to get on the end of this. It's a beautiful ball served in by Jake Arman. That's what Neil Collins has been looking for the entire season. They get him healthy, they get him back, and they go to work once again. Now it's Jake LaCava's turn. Defensively, this was sort of a last-ditch effort by Lou City. It was one response after another. The momentum started to swing. You started to see the challenges and 50-50 balls going the likes of the Rowdies, but they still had an issue on this right-hand side with Matiti because he comes back through, same argument. Same lack of decision-making, though, that we've seen throughout the season. As you cut this in, it's one less touch, not hit as much. Pick out that corner and go to work. That's all you need to do here, Mike, and it's 1-0. Instead, you're knotted up at zeros, and the last effort that you're going to get is Ray Serrano on the back post that he cannot connect on as we step into the dressing room after 45 minutes. 0-0 at halftime between these two Eastern Conference giants.
All right, here's a look at the River City Flooring halftime match stats. Louisville a little more the possession. The Rowdies finding their feet more as the half went along, but you do wonder what kind of changes lie in wait.
I would say that chance creation overall wasn't that impressive, though, for either one of these teams. And for Louisville City, better decision-making because you did open the game up and give yourself options, albeit just through Mushagalusa. Try to find a way to Harrison Serrano and the trailing runs out of the midfield to get on. And on the front line, whether it was Fernandez or Guenzati or LaCava, they didn't get involved in them enough. They made a change last time out. They're going to do the exact same thing here as Jake LaCava will take a seat and Steven Dos Santos will step in for the second 45 minutes.
All right, one change at halftime. Louisville and the Rowdies on to the second half of play in this Eastern Conference final. Subs are brought to you by MHS Global as ever. LaCava off, Dos Santos on. And Dev, you made reference to it in the first half when the Rowdies got their first corner. That's the player you want on the field in those moments. And as we came to find out last time these teams met in the final, those headed set pieces can be all the difference. Del Piccolo. It gets away. It's a throw for the Rowdies. Steven Dos Santos has sort of been the talismanic scorer on set pieces. He towers, but he also towers over the history of this matchup, Dev. That last year at Al Lang Stadium, as the Rowdies knocked Louisville out onto the final against Orange County.
What a remarkable comeback that was for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Masterclass management skills put on by Neil Collins, still one of the better, if not best, changes I've ever seen by a tactician in game. We'll talk more about that later as this game opens up and we start to get some goals. See what I did there?
Yeah, push it into the universe. I don't know what Drew Felios said. I still don't know. But it was a great call at the end of that game.
Lasso elevating M. Kasana.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I heard it. I felt it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, they had shirts made.
True. Del Piccolo. There's Guillen.
And there are some calls that are going to resonate within this league for quite some time. Certainly the night that Drew Felios and Ryan Davis had. How could you forget it?
Yeah. And then it was Ronaldo Damas who took the limelight, took Orange County to the greatest heights, only to slink to the bottom of the West here this season with the league's Golden Boot winner in tow. Speaking of in tow,
got to be a card. Yeah.
Shown yellow for bringing down Dos Santos from behind.
The question is why. Great dissecting ball by Lawrence White. He could have easily put this onto the right flank, and you couldn't blame him for it. Just wondering why the turn there, because you do have support. The one argument could be is if he doesn't take him down as the slide comes back over, Sharpie exposes the back run. But Manny Perez was starting to tuck back in to help out. It's a questionable one for Shantosh.
World of Beer yellow card. Does that come down to better communication, saying I've got cover, or should Tosh be seeing that?
6 to 1, half a dozen the other. You want him to check over his shoulder before he starts to check. But even if he goes, as Wes Sharpie slides to help out, that ball comes behind him, you're in trouble. So I can sit here and say, well, you know, support was coming, because from a TV perspective, we can see that. At real-time play, 100 miles an hour, I would still probably have him be taken down than that ball sprayed in behind one-on-one.
Hilton sprays it wide and away from Armin. Yeah, Armin clapped his hands immediately, knew he didn't get that right. Castellanos, Wyke. When Zadi checked back, threw for Dos Santos, taken away by Gibson. Swept right back to Castellanos. Now Louisville's bench is depleted, to say the least. Got Elijah Winder and Josh Winder, Oscar Jimenez, Carlos Mogul, all midfielders or defenders. You could see Masoso push a little higher, but the reality is a midfielder as well. The only true attacking threat they've got available to them is Brian Ownby, but the extent to which he could play as Dos Santos is offside, very much in question tonight. And if you do bring him in and you somehow end up in extra time, you probably have to do what you did last week when you pulled Cameron Lancaster off at the end. Fondes. Dos Santos, Tosh, Fondes, who was part of that Orange County side that won the title, a non-playing member last year. Ooh, all right. Lundstad, Mushagalusa, great first touch. Not quite the finishing touch he was looking for.
We expected Ray Serrano to be on the ball and be effectful, but from this distance, that's a little cut in. How do you do? How's the vision? This is some kind of touch pass from that distance. Checks up perfectly. Again, decision making. You're gonna go it alone. You take that touch out in front of you. Let it fly. Take on the goalkeeper, pick out a corner, especially the far one on the ground, and have a go. You continue to move to your right and then end up in double Z.
Armin, Hilton. Maybe he's an IHG guy.
There are a few that are going to pick that out. Told you I got a hotel mileage run coming up.
You do, yes.
Big off-season moves. Got to hit the next status. Wouldn't want to disappoint myself. It's the little things in the world, Mike.
Is this you suggesting to Matt Fisher that we stay in a Marriott wherever we end up?
That's not a suggestion. It's a guarantee.
Guillen.
The request that comes over for what flights are available for. I didn't respond with routes. I just let him know what hotel I was staying at. Here's the city. Here's the hotel. Preferential treatment required.
Ball sprayed back here to Fondes.
Can guarantee one of our illustrious leaders has already set up multiple dining locations as well.
Correct. Is it a Brazilian steakhouse we ended up in St. Pete last year? Just carried out of that thing in a wheelbarrow.
Well, that was for the winter meetings.
Accurate.
That was delightful.
It wasn't hot outside, but I was sweating. Dos Santos, the hold. Fernandez. Good slide. Kept it away from Armin. Yeah, Bone catching Hilton, waving his arm as if to say, no, not a foul. Away from Fernandez. Serrano. Serrano's been valuable back there to start this second half. Mushagalusa nearly swept it through. Back to Brino. You know, you mentioned and we've talked about it several times since, but the one personnel change, Fondes launches himself like a missile to keep that away from Dos Santos. A tactical masterclass that Neil Collins put on last year in the Eastern Conference Final. Chip back, Del Piccolo got a touch. For there to be a hero on one side means in some ways there's a goat on the other. Danny Cruz felt like he didn't have the best performance in that 2021 Eastern Conference Final, managing that level for the first time. You know, Dev, we had a chance to talk to him this week to reflect on that Eastern Conference Final. And what really stood out to me was this is about to be the first time I cut players. This is an instance in which I felt like I didn't adequately get the job done for my team, and he didn't want to have that feeling again.
You got to give him credit for looking from within, right? It's very difficult to stare in the mirror and say, this is good, this is bad, this is wrong, more or less. I mean, to be fair, I'm not comparing our jobs, but you and I have to do the same thing, right? I mean, anybody does in the walk of life. You want to get better at your craft, you have to be able to take critique, even of your own. And he was very hard on himself. I admire that, because regardless of success as an individual within the team, both player and coach, he strives for greatness. This is a guy who, to be honest, even if every game is won and set a shutout and won the title, I mean, basically you beat every team 4-5-0, he's going to find something wrong.
Yep.
But wouldn't you rather have someone like that than someone who sat back, didn't really change, didn't challenge you or chase the game? You know, Neil Collins is the exact same way. They're the type of manager that you want to play for, because not only do they challenge you, they make you better. They make you push yourself to areas that you don't know you're capable of. They take someone like a Ray Serrano and say, I'm going to push you a little bit more to the exterior and higher, but you're still going to be able to play the way that you want to play. You're going to take a Leo Fernandez, and even though we know that you've been such a vital piece to this team out of the midfield and wingback spot, we're going to put you in the 10 because we know you're capable of it and you have that skill set.
It's not often the two managers that are as fiery as Danny and Neil.
That's an interesting way to put it.
That they get along the way they do, or respect one another the way they do. It's rolled back by Guillen, and Brino rolls that head to Castellanos, and now Guillen. And yet it exudes out of both of them. They lauded each other as much as the organizations and the teams for getting to this point. Turn to Del Piccolo. Serrano twisting away. Guillen. And now Bone. Back heel. Looking for Serrano. That's a throw for Louisville. I don't know that I've been around a manager, to close on the topic, who's been as self-critical as Danny Cruz has been of himself, whose standards have been quite so clear. It's been an exhilarating season seeing him continue to progress as a manager, because in the grand scheme, he's 32, Dev. He's only just getting started. And the same could be said for Neil Collins. He only retired from the playing field 4 years ago. Dia looking for Harris. 2023 season tickets are now on sale for Racing Louisville FC, the area's only professional women's soccer team. Visit RacingLouFC.com TampaBay.com/tickets for more details. During our call with Neil Collins this week, we asked about when they started tinkering with the idea of a 4-back. Didn't he say, "I'm about to put you to sleep, but just hang with me"?
If I start to put you to sleep and bore you, just let me know if you nod off. And I was like, no, this is
great.
This is what I live and breathe for, right?
So it started on a warm, humid night in Pittsburgh. Both these teams have gone away from some of the shapes that they're best known for. Tampa Bay outside of a 3-back, and specifically without the trio of Scarlett, Lasso, and still in Aaron Guillen. Didn't happen for 2 years straight. Evan Laurel behind him. They've had to adjust on the fly, rebuild this plane. Law. Louisville doesn't care for advantage. They wanted the foul. Ball slicing across. Brino makes a good call for it. Dev, we did set a record tonight. These teams, when they met at Lynn Family Stadium early in the year, it was the attendance record, first sellout of Lynn Family Stadium. Tonight it's going to be 11,563. That's a club conference final record. Louisville 1-1-1 in their 3 home conference finals all time. Had only gotten to about 10,500. That was back in 2018. Bone. Blow of the whistle. Well, is this where Neil Collins dips into his bench and tries to change this game? Does he wait just a hair longer? Here they come. Sebastian Dalgard and Jan Ekra are coming on. Now Dalgard, that's a change they've made quite a bit with Armin dealing with injuries. The subs are brought to you by MHS Global. And Dev, he's an MVP finalist, but this wasn't his night. Leo Fernandez is coming off.
Yeah, he had trouble finding the game, and you wonder if he's carrying anything and if this is just to be cautious of what his health might be with an opportunity to move on. But he was out of it. He was out of sequence. Moving into the 10, they started him on the right, the left. They moved him high. Really had trouble finding any sort of rhythm within it. And just keep an eye on what the midfield looks like now. How much are you going to rely on a single pivot of Lewis Hilton underneath Nicky Law and Ekra? Does one of them get the opportunity to play forward in a little bit more of an advanced role than others? I like the idea of the 2-prong just like that right there. Ekra and Law. Of course, you have to have a balance to help out, dropping back and closing down space next to Lewis Hilton, but he's such a general within the midfield play that it's going to give you some freedom with Ekra and Law to challenge the interior, really give the other 3 from Louisville City something to think about when they move forward.
That's another offside against Tampa Bay. I'm trying to think back. Was it the Hartford game over the summer on ESPN where it was like 14 offside? It's 8 tonight for the Rowdies, one of which took a goal off the board by a pretty slim margin. That wasn't it from Fondes.
Carter.
That game had 11 offside, by the way.
That's it?
Yeah. That was the game that saw Harry Watling say au revoir.
1 every 8 minutes wasn't enough, apparently. Couldn't go for 12. Let's break the record. Keep it up, boys. You're doing great.
Dos Santos.
How's that? Watch out.
Yeah, that rings off, and Neil Collins is incensed. Tosh has gone to check on Dos Santos. Those two were teammates in Rochester once upon a time. Dos Santos, leading scorer, leading to the 2015 final.
Tosh just leans into it, and unfortunately, right across the temple. Oh. Well, one against Guanzati. He's just trying to bring this forward, advance it quickly, and see if you could fight Serrano, who was still sitting pretty high, hadn't dropped yet. What kind of gum do you think Neil Collins chews? We've had this discussion with him before. I think he's changed, though, and now you're starting to hear the crowds of the exhilarating movement of Brian Ownby, who's going to get an opportunity to come off the bench here.
They've called him Striker Ownby. They called him Birthday Ownby against Memphis earlier this year. For the first time in 2022, here comes playoff Ownby. Replaces Del Piccolo. Elijah Winder comes on. If you were going to bet which Winder would come into the game first, it's Elijah, who dealt with that devastating leg injury just less than 2 years ago and was critical, bringing energy off the bench in the game against Pittsburgh. Those subs are brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. Ball for Dos Santos. Finds Dalgard. Manny Perez. That was out of necessity.
It's really pretty, though, from the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Dalgard just a touch late getting to this, but some kind of service. When you give him the opportunity, Connor Antley can put it on a platter with the best of them, and it looks like it's a little bit behind, but he's trying to pick out the trailing run. One step quicker, an opportunity, but this is some kind of tackle from Manny Perez on the back post. Great defending.
And now Nicky Law, who was acquired from Indy mid-season, essentially giving another option if anything happened to Lewis Hilton. In the end, they've both been starters down the stretch. Neil Collins giving advice to Aaron Guillen on the sideline. Law delivers. Brought down by Hilton, and they've blown the whistle. That was a foul. And Dev, for Louisville, they don't have a lot of attacking options off the bench, but if you're going to have one at this time of year, it'd be Brian Ownby.
You would hope so. I mean, he's great in regular season play, but 18 games played, 7 goals, 4 assists. That is why you've given him the moniker playoff Ownby. Just seems like you hit postseason play. And with Lou City, he amps it up a notch. Danny Cruz, lucky to have him coming off the bench, just lucky to have him at all. And it was between him and Cameron Lancaster last week. Both guys carrying a knock. Cameron Lancaster got the nod, of course, the game-tying goal in the process. The start of the comeback that eventually led to the penalty shootout win over the Hounds. We're hoping that Ownby can do something the same.
Contact, referee looked at it. Player was already on the ground, and Bone goes over top of him. Well, crowd of over 11,500 doesn't care for that. It continues. It's Gibson. First ball's away. Dia got under it. Karam's off of Hilton. Gibson. Ownby. Off of Dalgard. It's a Wi-Fi corner. Let's take a look back. The previous effort at the edge of the box.
If you're a Louisville player or fan, I can understand why, but watch the follow-through by Winder. He actually takes down Lewis Hilton. Watch as he comes back over the top. That leg right there. The leg by Winder takes Hilton down, and then the continuation is why you see contact. That's why you see a little bit of contact there on the leg. but it's not his fault. He's taken to ground by a Lou City player. No penalty. Correct call.
It's vibrating. A 5-5 corner. Skims off of Dos Santos, cleared by Ekra, but only halfway. That's a bit more convincing. And there's Sebastian Guenzati, the heartbeat of the Rowdies. Such a phenomenal season last year. A penalty gone wrong. A season waywardly trying to find his scoring form again, and has he at the right time. One of a kind in Rowdy history, and that's saying something. Excellent ball, threaded, Ombi crossing. Guillen. Louisville led the league in set-piece goals. The Rowdies conceded the fewest. 28 for Louisville, 5 conceded by the Rowdies. Best against best. Perez. Mushagalusa. Pirouettes. Ekra recovers. And he'll dribble it out. And gets fouled. Last time we get to say this year. Joella's Hot Chicken is serving up just the right amount of spice with their Lou City slider pack. $5 from every pack sold, donated toward the Lou City and Racing Louisville Youth Academy. With 7 heat levels to choose from, Joella's Hot Chicken isn't just about heat, it's about flavor. Who knows, next Friday night, Devin and I might be frequenting one. Ball forward, Fondes.
Foul.
Dos Santos is waving his arms back. One wonders if he thinks perhaps Fondes had left the penalty area. He hadn't.
It's the way he leans into it. I don't mind him challenging for the ball, but it's the way that he leans into it. Watch him at the tail end of it. He forcefully tries to make a move on the goalkeeper. Right there. Doesn't challenge for the ball whatsoever. Coming off a toast. You want to rise for this jump. He doesn't even leave his feet. Just leans right into the goalkeeper, Danny Fondes.
A little bit of drizzle on a mid-60-degree night, becoming harsher as time goes by. The Rowdies actually had their game last week postponed by 20 hours due to a deluge of rain and thunderstorms in Memphis. Well, they'll have to play through it tonight. The bad news for the Rowdies is they all sat around and watched the Louisville-Pittsburgh game and were stuck with us. Oh, it's really coming down. It's a foul from Bone. Now it's supposed to have rained for about half an hour, maybe less, but should clear out by the time we get to penalties.
Oh, good for you. Good for you, sir. See what you get for Christmas.
Dev, you want to know what my dream home has?
Joella's?
A roof. And your dream home is waiting for you with Fisher Homes. Discover a variety of floor plan styles and watch your design come to life. Visit FisherHomes.com to get started today.
Be like Richie Rich. McDonald's in your house. Instead, you bring in Joella's.
Ekra. It's a good leading ball. Inside for Guenzati. Lost a touch. Boy, those concourses sure got full in a moment. Last call is in 1 minute and 10 seconds for what it's worth.
I don't know why people aren't running to the bar, the Modelo bar. It's 52 feet of greatness.
Whoa there.
Too much Joellas for that camera operator.
Yeah, it was the Joellas. That's it. You know, it takes a village. Mentioned the great Rowdies broadcasts, and we enjoy listening to Ryan and Drew all season long. Good diagonal. Omby, brilliant. Cut back. Got by Dalgard. Leading. Harris. Tight angle. Brino! Salvages the moment as it briskly came off his fingers, but he recovers.
Love the move by Omby, even though he doesn't get all of it. Watch the backside of this for Wilson Harris. He had a quick peek over his shoulder, recognized that the run by Mushagalusa on the back post wasn't there. That's why he goes it alone. That's why he cuts it back across his body. There's not a ton to get to the back post, but a very good save because of the traffic in front of him. He's got to bail out of this thing and trust his instinct. 9 times out of 10, a striker's coming across the body, trying to pick out the far post. Harris does the same thing. Good move. Castellanos stays with him almost the entire way, and Guillen almost causes a little disruption there. Brino able to get the initial touch and then the recovery. Scary sequence there for the Rowdies.
Mushagalusa, winner to the championship final. The Rowdies have taken the last 2 Eastern Conference finals at Louisville's peril. Guenzati galloping, Guillen crossing. It's behind Dos Santos. The Rowdies never got to play for the final in 2020, a COVID outbreak. Never got to face Phoenix Rising. 2021, they fell to Orange County in one of the more surprising upsets. Now Dayon Harris will come in and try and provide the spark that the Rowdies need to move on to either go to San Antonio or host Colorado Springs. Louisville's had their thumb on the scale much of the night. Omby, this is Mushagalusa. It was offside all along. Here's the change for Tampa Bay. Dayon Harris replaces Sebastian Guenzati.
The entire front line for the Tampa Bay Rowdies is just having a rough go of it tonight. When they do maintain possession of the ball, saw it from Leo Fernandez as well, and from Guenzati. It's a combination of the tracking from the defenders on Lou City, but there's a little bit of lack of effort up top trying to find some of these tight-knit spaces. And so because of that, you've seen more work being done by guys like Dalgard. We saw Jake Arman, of course, involved. But the overall attacking side of it, the 9 spots up top, just very quiet. And you wonder if there's going to be a little tweak here because of Dalgard and Dayon Harris. Harris was part of that tactical change in the 2021 Eastern Conference Final. That actually came in the 63rd minute. It was 1 substitution, 6 different positions. In that situation, Harris ended up on the right. I wonder, because of the recent movement, if he bumps back over to the left or not. That's my question here. Or if he is going to play him on the right. They have used him on the left recently, but his natural tendency is a right-sided player.
He starts on the right. We'll see whether or not that remains. Out toward midfield. That is Harris immediately into the action. And lifted over the bar.
The way that they're attacking and defending, it just allows him to have this freedom that you can come high. Defensively, you're covered because you have Antley and White behind you. But as Harris goes, he knows that one-on-one, he can have a little bit more fun than he normally does. It's not an out-and-out wing-back spot. He is higher. He'll pinch off the shoulder. Ekra will come in between Dos Santos and Harris. But they've got to find a way to get all three of them on the same page, because you can get one going and some touches. That's what we've seen 80 minutes into this match. We have not seen a lot of combination play between the front three at all. And even as you go, can the supporting runs come for you as well? They've withstood some quality chances and movements by Lou City. They want to get back into this thing, got to find success. There's a reason why Neil Collins and all the changes that they've made have been all attacking players on that front line so far.
Fans head to Twitter, vote on tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match. The poll open for the next 10 minutes. Vote now, twitter.com/LouCityFC. Dalgard for Guillen. Law. Hilton. That magic peg. Bone. Ownby. Ownby. Perez. Ownby. Play on. Ekra. Clean tackle. Harris. Foul. From the width. They'll get over Ownby just enough. Dalgard. Dos Santos. Dos Santos down by Tosh. Tosh is on a yellow card. He had support back there. Bone is tussling. Yellow card's out. Referee's pulling a red. Corbin Bone sent off, handing off the captain's armband. Sent off in the 82nd minute. Louisville will play with 10.
It's smart movement by Dalgard because he sees Dos Santos breaking. This is an interesting one right here. I don't see a foul there. I see good positioning by Sean Tosh. The argument's going to be the right arm, and as it comes away a little bit, but he's established position in front of him. So I don't agree with that one, but on the back side of it, as he's arguing for a card, Ownby gets into it. Ownby doesn't like the call, and that's when it ensues. Lewis Hilton has targeted Corbin Bone. Ownby does him a favor because he actually pushes towards Lewis Hilton. Bone bumps in, and then Bone goes for it. Say whatever you want. You cannot put your hands up around the face or neck of another player. As soft or as hard as it may be, you cannot do that. The letter of the law says absolutely not. We've seen the same thing from Wilson Harris on the road at Detroit City earlier this season. Don't put yourself in that spot in this moment, and certainly not in front of the head referee.
Lewis Hilton got a yellow card. Dev, are you giving a yellow card for the initial tackle by Tosh?
No, it's not even a foul.
Fair enough.
That's the most ridiculous thing here. Is like, as you watch it, I didn't think it was a foul in real time. You see it slowed down. Tosh steps in front, establishes position. The only argument that I could see is from our angle, the left hand in front and away a little bit. The problem you have there, head referee isn't seeing that, and the linesman hasn't raised his flag. Still, there is a foul in terms of the continuation after the fact. The conversation, the movement, you can't do it. And now you're going to be scrambling at the end of this game at 10 men.
So Mushagalusa off, Masoso comes on, and then Winder enters for Louisville. And Wilson Harris comes out. So Louisville doesn't have an out-and-out number 9 on the field. Brian Omby is going to play up there. And with Sharpie and Tosh starting at center back and Winder coming in now, you would think Louisville goes to a 3-back. And now a chance for the Rowdies with 5 minutes remaining to try and ensure no extra time. Scoreless still. Pushed out by Perez, and indeed it is that 3-back or a 5-back in defense that Louisville really didn't touch until 3 weeks left in the year, the RGV game. Dalgard whisks it through, seeking Dos Santos. Bypasses Harris down to Guillen. Harris on the Law. Perez, Law somehow able to flick it wide. Dalgard returns. Louisville's made 4 changes, notably. Tampa Bay has made 4. They can both make 1 more sub, or if this gets to extra time, they'll be able to use the full allotment of field players. Dalgard end line. Sent away, Hilton. And with a deflection, Karam's out for a Tampa Bay corner.
Well, the argument coming in was squad selection for Danny Cruz and having to do it. Guys all banged up, only 18 players available for selection overall, and now you're down to 10. And he has just got to feel so snake-bitten the way that this season started and what they've been able to endure. Reminder, points, wins, shutouts, goal differential, all organizational records this season. But with just a couple of minutes to go and down to 10 minutes, going to take something special. Not that the Rowdies have been magnificent tonight, but that man advantage almost spells disaster, as there are some more extracurriculars just in front of the referee. Dayon Harris making friends with Amadou Dia.
By the way, the remaining subs, Lucky M. Kosana, the league's all-time goal scorer, off the bench. And Jordan Scarlett for Louisville, Carlos Mogul and Oscar Jimenez. Is this the moment for the Rowdies? Law. Dos Santos. Nearly for Dalgard. Just escaped his grasp.
We asked for it in the first half, didn't we?
Yep.
Said, what do you like here? I said, we want Dos Santos. He does everything right. Goes up, wins the ball. How's he not gonna? Dalgard's got to do better, though. I mean, you could sit down right now, vote, have a cup of tea, buy a car, do whatever you want on the back post, except put it on the 8x8, and he knows it. That is a massive opportunity missed for Sebastian Dalgard just in front of goal.
Manny Perez picked up a little knock at the end of the last game. You saw him move to winger and then eventually to striker. Sub brought to you by MHS Global Above and Beyond. Perez off, and here's Oscar Jimenez coming into the game. Louisville's used all 5 subs. Bouncing, Sharpie couldn't corral it. Instead, it's Dos Santos. Acra spins. Hilton winds for Harris. Dev, the word snake bitten to describe where Danny Cruz is at right now. So much of our conversations over the course of this year is how proud he was of this team for losing Gonzalez and McCabe and Omby and Lancaster, Morton at the end of the season. Here he is without any of them on the field, except for a compromised Brian Omby.
Still a true testament to their ability to find success, and we talked a little bit about that. But this is going to be a different venture, and nothing ventured, nothing gained. You still have, by the way, Brian Omby up top, who's got a little bit underneath him right now. If you want to ping a ball and let him go chase a little bit, one wonders how adventurous you're going to be if you're the Tampa Bay Rowdies, regardless if it's the next 60 seconds and then whatever added time is on after that, or if you move into extra time situation. You want to advance yourself a little bit more? I'm all for it. Challenge, absolutely. More bodies, definitely. But be cognizant of the fact that Brian Omby's still sitting up there, and a foot race will 100% be won by he against any one of those three, given the opportunity.
And then the question remains just how long will Omby be able to suffer through. Be careful what you wish for, Louisville fans. Rowdies pinging it around. Stoppage time presented by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. 4 added minutes.
They're pinging it around, but they're all occupying the same space. This is what I was talking about earlier. Harris and Antley are on top of each other. More importantly, they're marked.
Well, there's Harris finally breaking free. Harris, big rebound. Fundes came out and got it. Swallowed it up. Dos Santos went down. Play continues. Off the throw. Dalgard. Lines up Jimenez and swings the service too high for Dos Santos, and Louisville is going to take every bit of the next half minute.
And the issue with Dayon Harris and Antley occupying the same space, then you got to go beat someone. That's exactly what it does. Love the explosion of speed. And even though he keeps it on his right foot, he's still challenging that half space. That's the space that I was talking about for Serrano, and how the recovery is here for Danny Fondes. He knows that he's spilled an opportunity. You got to pick those up, or if you're going to drop it, keep it in front of you. Much too far away, but full force on the big man in Dos Santos up top.
All over the top, seeking Omby. Rowdies trying to get to their 3rd straight championship final. Louisville trying to get to their 4th overall in their 8th straight conference final. Dalgard. Castellanos. Guillen. Dalgard. Law. Laying it down for Hilton. Pointing toward the penthouse. Antley. Toward Harris. Harris got all of Winder, and Harris is going into the book.
It doesn't matter what they've done on the attacking front. They have yet to be able to find any sort of movement with Jan Ekra underneath, and so you up. Dayon Harris has figured that out. He's just hoping someone like Jan Ekra can find that, and the hold-up play from Dos Santos can continue to reign there.
Winder cutting. Masoso. Winder won't get there. Well, this is when penalties marred the conference semifinal between the Rowdies and 901 FC. Penalties on both ends. Winder dicing.
Winder and Mogul were incredible off the bench last time. The run's difficult, though, because Masoso, as he slips it through, he's only got one spot to go to, and it's closed down defensively.
Header snapped away. Conference final. Not a goal to be. Will. Conference final when we.
Welcome someone home, even without words. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
You want a tough truck?
Take a look.
We went to an off. Select, you can go from rocks to save on a new Tacoma with new.
Like Toyota.
An exciting chapter. Over 40 medical firsts, where academic research offers life-changing care.
Back the clock, figurative. Extra time, Guillen and Ombi, Mark Ollerton. Fireworks began.
I thought it was going to be Will 9 spot for Danny. A lot of opportunities as he does. Other direction. It's not a foul. I promise is. Are involved or not, you can't put your hands on somebody. For the Tampa Bay Rowdies. You've drawn it up over and over again. You got to go from distance. Then the follow-up. Danny Fondes spills it. Gray sets himself. Spring.
We go 15 each direction with a 2-minute. Eight straight games, but they don't tonight. Tampa, and notably, should they loom, Louisville at home, 5-0 in penalty shootouts all time. Wyke. Louisville playing with 10 for the aforementioned boneheaded play. And notably, there was something there between Del Valle in the moment. We're having words with Bone.
As they move into a 4, the idea is to advance. Ability over an overlap working together. Triangle that I talked about that you might see Nicky with Winder, Gibson, and Masoso a little bit, because if he gets Brian by base.
For the final. Spun in.
Surprised that it fell for him. If I'm not mistaken, you go thirds off to Lou City, and you don't want to say shame on the Tampa Bay Rowdies, but with the firepower that they have on the field, you would expect a little bit better.
They'll certainly be kicking themselves. Go to San Antonio. We'll find out the answer to that. Meet at Toyota Field. Out to Wyke. Dangerous ball, far down. Nicky Law.
Decision making. Worker, he knows that he's got small alone and challenging a player to this unit for the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Win the ultimate World Cup viewing experience with the Hisense. The $500 gift card. The Hisense final, midnight Eastern time. Scan the QR code. are presented by at this point.
Dramatically changed as well. They've done a good job keeping the ball on the outside. Still got to win these individual battles though, and this is one of them. Just talked about side. Now Jan Ekra, Nicky Law's playing him, Ekra frequenting the right, and yet still really don't. And that's the other argument, is that when they have gone, nor as you just mentioned, all the minutes for Brian Ownby. How about when
Louisville has left on their bench is Carlos Mo. You've got 3 center backs in. In theory, Wes Sharpie could come off. You could shift back into a 4. Didn't appear the athletic trainer had come in. He had gotten Are those both? Castellanos. Algard. Tosh. There's Guillen. Fondez is
exactly what they're doing. Dos Santos has picked up.
So remember, in the latter state, his shoulder into thought that, you know,
at times. Gonna have some fun. Dos Santos make a play on it, and Denny trying to repay.
The ball, why did he do that to the? It's a little smaller next to. Final, where finally tensions sort of bubble over.
Well, here's the other thing to think about, by the way, as well, Mike, is that throughout all this time too, and if you're the Tampa Bay Rowdies, the way that you every second extremely valuable, isn't it all to try or not?
Well, Chase with a push. These sides have very little separating. Big
and Lewis Hilton's jump by
he missed. Last time the Rowdies did it was first game of 8. For Louisville, they've done it 3 times at Pittsburgh. Actually drew 0-0 on the same.
We've seen at least 2 goals. Feels like it, even if the Rowdies advance. What could be for them has made all these changes. Think about it. LaCava Cam Cassana will make his way onto the field. None of which have really center location. They've resorted to balls from of anything outside of that set piece.
Louisville fans know really best for both Lasso. Tough. Now, by the way, let's take you. We'll show you that in a moment. Stoppage time. First ball's away.
Watch at certain points in time right now with the man. If you're Lewis Hilton, you got to come 5 yards to your right, create that seam within the mid. There's no movement whatsoever atop the 18.
In this, Accra. Took time at the end of the lengthy stoppage. Wide in. That is it. Danny Fund. Those two trying. Highlights from the first period of extra time.
I'll let you know, most of it, by the way, is both Dalgard to fade away when these balls have been served in. The back post for Dos Santos, hands full, and as he's come, he found a familiar friend. Dos Santos stepped in on that one. Favor. Conversation. Fondas came over at the tail end, and that was an interesting
sent off. Louisville is playing now, down to be cramping up after together of late. Eastern Conference Final. Dos Santos is for the Rowdies for
himself into this. He's been very. His mind easy enough just in front of him. Toast. But you can these are the bright spots.
Kick, first headers away. Kept alive. Defense in the league. Hilton ran out of room and in 2019. And he was the Jimenez delivered.
Said it would be the only bright spot you might get if you're Lou City. Gotta clear this ball if you're the Rowdies. Plenty of numbers, the attacking options galore, but as this thing drops down, you just gotta be better. They have struggled all night on the other end of the field. It's Wyke, it's Dos Santos, it's a multitude of players that have an opportunity to clear this off. He winds them up. Now, can they take him down?
Signed April the 10th, 2019. Injured in January of 2021. Sent to Tucson to start the year. Could he find his legs again? His little brother became the apple of everybody's eye. And yet it's been Elijah Winder in this conference final from Oldham County, Kentucky. An academy player from the jump for Louisville City, who's provided absolute ecstasy to this crowd. And the Rowdies now have 11 minutes to make it right.
Where's the urgency, intensity? Let's pick it up a little bit here. That's the conversation with Castellanos and Brino. He's got to know exactly how much time is left, but you don't have to resort to last-ditch efforts. Just speed up the rapidity of play. Put the ball on the deck. Have a little fun. Right now, challenge the interior. Find a way to get some of these runs going and find some momentum, because right now, as it has been the entirety of this match, it is just way too stagnant attacking-wise for the Rowdies. Be inventive. Be brave. Be bold. Do anything that you have to do right now, but it's got to change with 10 minutes to go.
All eyes on 10 and 77. M. Cosana and Dos Santos. Lewis Hilton delivers. Header down Ekra. Skims away. Still contact. Referee looked in. No foul. Play on.
How's the difference on the sideline, by the way? Danny Cruz imploring his guys to keep going. No emotion from Neil Collins whatsoever. Ekra rises up, doesn't get enough of it. No, that's simulation on the back post. Surprised the referee doesn't step in.
Guillen. Header away by Winder. Directly to Dalgard. Dalgard on the bounce. He has the space. It knuckles the other way. The Rowdies won their group in 2020 after losing in the playoffs to Louisville in the 2019 postseason. In 2021, a season for the ages, 71 points and another trip to the final. It was a long, winding road from the moment the Rowdies and Phoenix were canceled in 2020 to this point for the Rowdies, who desperately want to add another star above that crest. For Louisville, they've said go for gold. They're looking for their third. Jimenez. Dev, is Louisville's goal from here to send this ball to the moon?
No, you want to actually try and kill the game off. Stay on it. It's tackles. Just keep it in front of you. You want to try and kill the game as much as possible. In order to do that, you got to have the ball. They're not looking to chase. They just want to sit, bide their time wisely, keep the game in front of you, and if all goes to plan, the game's following the same thing right now. Look at this. There's a 25, 30-yard gap right now. So if you're going to remove the playmaking ability from the middle of the field, you at least need to give someone an opportunity within the box. The problem is you're all matched up in one-on-one situations. There's too many black jerseys behind the ball right now for the Rowdies to have any success. Harris tries to take it upon himself to go beat someone. You need the same thing from anybody else. We're in the green and yellow right now. The good news is that 9 separate occasions have the Rowdies been on the road and fallen behind first. They're about 500 in those situations. 4 wins, 4 losses, and a draw. So 5 times, and that's all they need is 1 goal. 5 times out of those 9, they have been able to work themselves back into the match and at least get an equalizer.
Dalgard. Trying to get by Masoso. Hilton. Try the other end. Wyke. Closed by Winder. Seeking Harris. Harris crossing. And Kosana.
He's asking for more of it. I don't blame him. It's one of the better movements that we've seen, but I told you, you just got to go beat a player. It's an excellent run. Even better ball, though. As Harris cuts it back across, it's near impossible from Lucky M. Kasana, but for the USL Championship leader in terms of goals coming from the substitute position, anybody could complete it. Why not M. Kasana?
If this holds, Louisville would either go to San Antonio or host Colorado Springs next Sunday night. San Antonio, winners of the West in the regular season in record-setting fashion. Louisville won the East, breaking all their previous records, wins, clean sheets, and points. Bounces down to Brino. Both sides all week said don't take this moment for granted. Just because we're here again doesn't mean that it's a formality. Bouncing, Castellanos. Holmby's gonna chase. Brino allows it back. Spews it out the other side. M. Kosana.
Well done. He's trying. He recognizes the space on the inside. And Dalgard here, if you're not going to have the run, step on it. Continue to keep it moving. Now they want it up over.
Gibson came up a little lame on that clearance as well.
Neil Collins is asking for it too. Unfortunately, the guy's just on a different page right now. You got plenty of time. Look how high Aaron Guillen is, playing to his feet. Just keep the ball moving. Side to side, up and down. You have the ability to challenge here, but you beat someone one-on-one, at least find the runner. You got to have your head up.
Dalgard crossing, bounced off of Harris.
None of this, by the way, as you come down deep, Mike, I'm all for looking for the most advanced position coming back across, but just keep an eye on a late trailing run from Lewis Hilton, Jan Ekra. They all have the ability to drop right around the top of the 18-yard box and let it fly.
Guillen. Hilton. Antley. Bounced off Elijah Winder. He's the hero tonight, if you can believe it, in the 108th minute. That got sent to the upper deck. Louisville's going to make a change. 19-year-old Shelbyville native Carlos Mogul. Tyler Gibson comes out. Sub brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. Louisville's not in this position without Gibson. They're not in this round without Mogul.
Yeah, and that's the most consistent player for Louisville City in the USL Championship. Covers the most ground. Tyler Gibson, the acquisition just a couple of seasons ago, came over from Indy 11, the Nemesis, in 2020 to 2021. And now, is this the torch? As Mogul and his game-winning penalty, an opportunity to solidify their right at another title. Ton of space on the inside. But Danny Cruz does feel like he is one of the up-and-coming stars, not just within this league, but this country.
There's been a lot of praise for Josh Winder, and it is well-deserved. What Elijah Winder and Carlos Mogul have meant to this playoff run for Louisville City, the fact that they've spewed now 3 players out of their academy into the first team in a 2-year span that have made this impact. That may be the long-term game changer. The Rowdies have 2 minutes and stoppage time. Wyke. Guillen. Dalgard. Dalgard. Way by Winder, picked up by Hilton. All the energy Dia has left. Got by Antley. Antley pushed aside. Ball ahead from Dia. Ombi takes it to the corner. Wins a corner. Could he give you maybe 25 minutes tonight? He's exhausted. He's given nearly 50.
How's the look? And this is all you are asking for him. No goals, no glory. This is the greatest run you're going to get all night long because it's going to allow you to kill about 90 precious seconds off the clock. Aaron Guillen knows it. He wants to do anything he can to try and regain possession, but Brian Ownby smartly, as a veteran leader, tucks it in the corner, retains possession, the ball, and they get another one out to kill some valuable time.
The Rowdies' miracle has to begin right now. Foul from Winder. One added minute. Hilton. Offside. For the 10th time tonight. Winder in the 108th minute after Corbin Bone was sent off in the 82nd. (22, 3, and 5 in home knockout games. Nearly impenetrable. Only to see the Rowdies rip it away from them the last 2 years. Here comes Tampa Bay. The dying embers of this Eastern Conference final. Dos Santos banged off a Winder. Louisville wins the third of the trilogy. They're going to their first championship final since 2019. A manager avenge his worst moment. A local kid scores the goal of his life. A once third choice goalkeeper keeps Louisville in the game. A compromised striker goes 50. And Louisville will either host Colorado Springs or go to San Antonio in the 2022 USL Championship final. And for the Rowdies, utter devastation. Their long search to win the biggest trophy comes up just minutes short.
The rebirth from Neil Collins after taking over included them missing the playoffs just a couple of seasons ago, but as they came back in with a vengeance in 2020 and the final that never was, and the letdown that was 2021 against Orange County, felt like this was their time. Best record in the Final 10, best goal differential heading into the playoffs. They were at another level than any other team coming in, but not to be undone by Lou City. They are the benchmark, the Eastern Conference standard that the Rowdies, pulling attributes from their portfolio, trying to achieve the same level of consistency and quality of performance, have regressed this season to a Louisville team that had a massive mountain to climb coming into this game, Mike. 18 players available for selection overall. No Niall McCabe, no Jorge Gonzalez, no Cameron Lancaster. Stop me if you've heard one of those before. But as you combine everything together, you ask more out of the youngsters, and you get it. You get it on the back line, in the midfield, on the front line, and eventually from a young man who made his debut just a few seasons ago, Elijah Winder. He debuted in 2020. In 2021, an ECL injury in February saw him break both his lower legs. A broken ankle that was also dislocated and shattered. He went on loan earlier this year, only to be the savior to send them to glory in the Eastern Conference and an opportunity for another title.
And perhaps the least surprising Lynn Family Sports Vision Training Man of the Match ever awarded. Big smile from Cameron Lancaster. He was unavailable. Harris came out, and it was Winder who scored the winner. Danny Cruz celebrating. That's got to be vindication. Clean sheet is presented by Mortensen Family Dental. And Fondez pressed into service. His 7th start of the year, earns his 3rd clean sheet over 120 minutes. Challenged often or not, irrelevant. And when Louisville was trying to stave off at the end, the Toyota move of the game, as much the corner as it was the finish.
With the ability to just continue, persistent, push through everything. The red card, 10 men, lack of opportunities. I told you coming in, though, is that if you're going to get anything, it was probably going to be from a dead ball situation. You had just said a couple of minutes prior, best defensive against best attacking when it comes to set piece situations in the USL Championship. Winder comes out on top. What a journey. I mean, going on loan to FC Tucson. There were a couple of guys that got sent out this season by Danny Cruz because he wanted minutes. And Elijah Winder was one of them. He had 12 appearances for the club for 265 minutes. Mike, that's about 23 minutes within each app on average. And that he comes home. Very similar numbers. 12th appearance tonight for Lou City, 289 minutes. But the shift that he put in tonight, he was glorified coming off the bench last time out against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. A lot of praise for he, Carlos Mogul, and the young men that through the academy, including his brother, have given this organization a new lease on life. They've made the transition into a new generation while still welcoming the old guard. And how poetic that through the journey that they've been on, as deep as they've been in talent acquisition in the offseason, whether last year or this, Gibson, Wes Sharpie, Kyle Morton, one of the biggest names. It's an academy kid who's come through after injury and a loanee to put you through to the final. Tremendous.
Tonight's postgame is presented to you by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. Korczewski will hand it off. Louisville City raises the Eastern Conference Championship trophy after their longest wait in franchise history. A 4th Eastern Conference title. And they'll go for gold either in the Alamo City or back here at Lynn Family Stadium in 7 days. Tampa Bay gives absolutely every inch that they could. And tonight, despite being up a man for the final 40 minutes, They cannot find the answer. Tonight's final score brought to you by the Gorski Law Office. Elijah Winder, elation. Louisville elevates to the final. For Devin Kerr, our entire team, Mike Watts. We'll see you next Sunday night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.